Back, everybody. We're here ready for game number 4 in our second semifinal of the day here on PC. I'm Aggro, joined by Anatoly. And Toly, Rival has made quite the comeback after Obey won game 1 of this series.
It's all been about the Odin bans against Captaintwig. He hasn't just had the same amount of impact. Granted, in game number 2 with the non-shot play, he was setting up PrettyPriMe very effectively, playing that off, but hasn't been the case in game number 3.
No, not at all. And game number 3 was ran by that man right in the middle, iceicebaby with the hat on the Camazotz. Make sure you keep an eye on what he's going to do in this next game, because Rival's success often goes through him and the guy whose hand is sticking out in front of him, Deathwalker.
Deathwalker has made the plays happen. He's just such a nuisance when he gets to that mid to late game form. He's always diving the backline, making it more difficult for PrettyPriMe and Ataraxia.
So the players after game number 3, they got a little 10-minute break there, Toly. And how important is that to kind of reset your mindset as a player?
Oh, it changes the world, absolutely. You know, you get a chance to stand up, stretch your legs, do what you gotta do otherwise, and you just talk about what went right, what went wrong, and you gotta try to figure out how to emulate some of the same game plans from game number 1 for Obey Alliance.
Yeah, game number 1 was pretty close overall, but Obey ended up on top in the end. Game 2, pretty close overall. Rival ended up on top. Game 3 was all Rival right from the get-go, and so you think that the momentum is in Rival's favor because of that, but we've seen Obey have some games where they don't look too good and they kind of get beat pretty heavily, and then somehow manage to bounce back pretty much instantly in game 2.
The Camazotz on iceicebaby was just monstrous every single time. Now, keep in mind that level 1 gank from Deathwalker is going to be looked out for in the beginning of the game. Maybe some early wards from Obey Alliance to prevent any shenanigans.
Honestly, I don't know if wards would have done that much in that gank, because remember, Deathwalker was hiding in the enemy back camps, and maniaKK came looking for him, Twig came looking for him, no one could find him, and then he came out of that hiding spot so late. Everyone was so pushed up, Twig and PrettyPriMe. I don't know if it would have done him enough information in order to get them out of that.
maniaKK even tried to look between the tier 1 and tier 2 for Deathwalker, but I'm not expecting that to work 2 games in a row here as we're heading to picks and bans for game number 4.
Ready to go. Obey Alliance have that first pick position once more. They broke the trend of first pick winning in game number 3, but they choose to go back to this first pick slot regardless. We've seen Rival make the adjustment to ban Captaintwig's Odin away. Do you expect to see a Camazotz ban from Obey?
I'm expecting maybe a Camazotz pick more than anything else. That could be a great idea that they can use, because you're also taking that away from iceicebaby, and as long as Obey get the Camazotz themselves, they don't have to worry about Rival maybe picking the Morgan. So maybe Obey ban one and pick the other, or just straight up pick both.
Robin is the first ban, though, from Obey. That's the jungler that iceicebaby played in game number 2. So Cyrus taken off the board by Rival once again. No one's been able to get their hand on the Egyptian solo laner quite yet this set.
Not at all, but either way, it's still great performance by both maniaKK and Deathwalker in some of these games. You know, the Bellona has been that staple pick for maniaKK, and I'm expecting them to lean towards it yet again, especially with this Camazotz ban, and Rival are not changing anything. They fear this Odin on Captaintwig.
Both junglers have their premier pick in this set banned out, and Obey goes back to the tried and true. They first picked Terra in game 3. They'll do the same in game 4. Now Rival has the response. It's been Geb, a popular selection for them. They played it twice in this set in 2 different roles, solo in the first one, to less success, and then support in the 3rd game, and too much success there for Kalas.
I'm still expecting this Geb to be heavily prioritized for Rival. Well, then again, the Fafnir is available, right? It was banned away from Obey quite often here, 2 out of the 3 games, if I'm not mistaken.
And Rival got it that 2nd game, and Kalas absolutely went off on it, so no surprise, really. Now, they can only take 1. I mean, I guess not, because like I said, Geb was taken and put in solo, but Obey already has their Guardian.
However, they don't necessarily need to pick their Guardian right at this point in time. I'm not expecting Obey to run another Guardian, and I'm not expecting maniaKK to run Terra in that solo lane. So they're good in terms of getting this Cernunnos, taking that option away from Ataraxia, and Erlang Shen, which is more than likely for Deathwalker.
Cernunnos for Vote, who's had a very solid set. Could be iceicebaby, Erlang, Shen in the jungle, but you're probably right. Likely for Deathwalker there in the solo lane because of how much success he's had on that god, not only just today, but in previous lands yesterday as well.
Solo
Against Space Station, and he did up against Final K. So now 2 picks here for Obey Alliance. Could go something here for Twig. Did play the Naja earlier on. Had a pretty good start, as we mentioned. Late game wasn't quite as good. The Morrigan is open, and it was open for the first time in game 3, but Prime did not look like himself on that one last time around.
A lot of options available for Obey Alliance of what kind of wombo combo they really want. And I think the Ra was working really well for Wlfy in this last game, and I'm surprised actually that they're still picking the Bellona and recognizing how effective the Ra was. Instantly, no hesitation, Rival locked that in before the next banding phase.
I love it. Wlfy looks so good on this god, but honestly, Wlfy's looked so good on the Giannis in this set. I mean, I wouldn't have minded that much to see him try and prioritize something else in that mid lane, or excuse me, something else in that draft, and allow Wlfy's mid lane pick to go a little bit later, but either way, can't complain. Wlfy gets his premier god, knocks the ban from Rival. They really don't like Prime on that god.
But surprisingly enough, I don't necessarily expect the Nox to synergize quite effectively with the Naja as opposed to maybe some other burst mages. Granted, that ultimate from Nox does a decent amount of damage, but it could also be used to engage by mitigating a lot of players' damage.
Athena was the first ban from Obey games 1, 2, and 3. Not banned in the first phase, and Rival don't end up picking it. So Obey decided to ban it during the second ban phase and get what they want, and that's Kalas on something besides that Greek goddess. Now they've got a second ban waiting for them after Rival banned Vulcan from PrettyPriMe. No surprise there.
It should be the Fafnir here if they're going to continue the focus onto Kalas. This is something that he's been excelling at, whether it's here at the LAN or prior, but it's going to be the Geb. It seems that they really are worried about the defensive support style that he can provide for his team.
But totally that leaves open the Fafnir, and a snap pick from Rival immediately locking in that god who's done so well for them all split long. Very, that was a tough choice there for Obey. It's either give up Geb or Fafnir, because I guarantee Rival would have taken whatever was left open, and ends up being the more aggressive of the 2 options.
It's the worst of 2 evils because there's a Ra for the sustain and the heavy burst damage. Now, if you allow Rival to get Geb, there's extra survival tactics here from that squad, but giving up the Fafnir means that you're relying on the Ra to secure the objective while Fafnir sets up the initial burst damage by using that coerce onto Vote.
2 more picks for Obey. About 35 seconds to make them as they're dwindling down their remaining bank time. Still need a mid laner and a hunter. Those have been the 2 picks that have usually fallen to this last 2 part of the draft for them. Could be Rom in that duo lane for Ataraxia. Could be the Hu-Yi. He's got plenty of options there. No hunters banned. Just the Cernunnos taken off the board by Rival.
Not quite yet. Still utilizing some of their bank time to make a very important final decision. These last 2 picks could mean do or die for the rest of Obey's journey in DreamHack Valencia.
They have to win back-to-back games in order to move on to play Dignitas tomorrow in the finals. Still waiting on their final selections. I'd imagine it's going to be Rom or Hu-Yi for Ataraxia. Those have been the 2 popular picks for him. It is indeed Hu-Yi and the Scylla this time around for PrettyPriMe.
I like the idea here. Great burst damage to follow up after Captaintwig's setup. He's been hitting so many Naja ults consistently in game number 2, even without any setup from his own Sash. Just a raw ultimate himself.
Nemesis, the pick for iceicebaby. Saved it all the way for last. Not the tankiest of lineups for Obey, but honestly, I like the Nemesis here because Naja can have a tough time against this goddess because of the multitude of slows, with Naja having no dedicated escape.
And every time that ring bounce is going to be thrown against a Nemesis, that shield is just going to eat up so much of that damage. It's going to be interesting to see that jungle mindset mentality. A lot of mind games between not only those 2 players in those roles, but the entire teams.
Here it is, Obey Alliance, their backs against the wall. They have to win the next 2. Rival only need 1 in order to move on to a final. Captaintwig there on your screen, locked in and focused. We want to talk about LAN veterans. No one is more of a LAN veteran than Captaintwig. He's been to every potential LAN he could have ever made, except for a relegation LAN.
I mean, he was in the first Worlds with SK, second with Fnatic, third with Obey. He's gone the distance of second place in the last year's Worlds. He's putting himself and his team in a great position here with a change of style of play. During his time in Hungry for More, when he just changed his style to play a little bit more aggressively, that halfway Season 3 action.
Switch up in styles for PrettyPriMe in that mid lane has been going that Soul Trap or uncommon Sash start, no starter item, going for the greedy builds. This time, much safer. Soulstone and Bumba's Mask, whereas Wlfy sticking with that Soul Trap.
And I love what Obey Alliance are doing here to start off the game. Captaintwig and maniaKK covering every single option in the solo lane jungle, not allowing Deathwalker the same sneaky tactic play.
And Captaintwig actually went in to that back RP camp, making sure that there was no way that Deathwalker was there. Probably told exactly where he was hiding by Coach Hazer during that break. So Obey and Rival meet up in this mid lane. Doesn't look like a gank's going to occur this time around. No frenzy for Captaintwig. He's playing the assassin, so feels the need to go for the purification beads as Ice and Captaintwig meet right in the middle.
We're seeing a good amount of clear here coming out of Obey Alliance, but Captaintwig doing some damage onto iceicebaby. In the solo lane, maniaKK taking a good chunk of his health pool, but able to outclear Deathwalker, which should allow him a small window to either steal away those blue ogres or rotate and assist for these fire giant elementals.
The rotation is the call. If these are secure, then that means maniaKK's gonna hit 2. That is the case, but Ice and Wlfy had already bailed. They didn't want to get chased down by the level 2 Bellona. Smart plays by the Rival mid jungle, so Obey with a slight XP lead on the right side of the map thus far.
So far, so good for both of these teams as Rival confirmed their own speed buff. They will lose some gold under their own tower, but I love the fact that iceicebaby is not rotating towards mid, instead assisting the blue buff completion, allowing Deathwalker some space control in the solo lane.
For me, this set totally midway through game 2, everything changed for this set, and that's because Rival started to put a lot of pressure onto PrettyPriMe. It was once they recognized that we should just Yen Assault right in Prime's face, they start shutting him down on that Thoth. Game 3, they shut him down on the Morrigan. This game is going to be critical for Obey, as we mentioned, and for me, I'm looking right at their mid lane.
Ooh, Ataraxia missing that ricochet that was already a stun target out of EmilZy. Callus will get rooted into place. Nice stun onto EmilZy though. Will take some damage. Bracer of Undoing will keep him topped off for the moment.
No ricochet bounce there, but a nice double stun out of EmilZy. Still no kills duo lane, but plenty of action. No surprise out of Rival's duo lane is another good hammer from Callus.
Now the mind games are just starting to show. EmilZy is holding onto his dash, expecting the hammer out there, and Callus is trying to stop the wombo combo and the continuation of the dash once you break that monolith.
Watch out for that ricochet crushing earth combination. You can set someone up in a tiny little corridor very quickly with those Terra walls, and ricochet can be a real pain in those sorts of narrow corridors, but it's pretty flashy play that, let's be real, that's a lot of times a lot of luck involved.
I mean, you say luck, but you know what I say about luck?
What's that?
It's when opportunity meets preparation, and that's something that all of these players in all of these teams have been grinding their way to get here in DreamHack Valencia.
Ice again has to give up that big fire elemental. Obey controlling the neutral objectives thus far. I believe on the left-hand side, Rival's duo lane was the one to secure the oracles, so at least on the right, Obey is getting the better end of those middle of the map objectives as maniaKK playing this Bellona once more. Pretty consistent on this god in this set, and is really all tournament long. Has he played anything but Bellona so far?
It's his favorite goddess, honestly, and for good measure too. She doesn't lose any specific matchup. Even if you cancel out her bludgeon, she'll still wield the hammer for those AoE in-hands, allowing a very safe time to be able to clear the archers and the melee minions, especially considering they're always going to be clumped up together.
Oracle's about to respawn, and so Rival groups on the left side of the map. Twig did just back, so that means Obey probably a little bit less keen on trying to contest, though. Ataraxia gonna drop the ult and try and get it. Callus in the front gets rooted out by PrettyPriMe, but Oracle still go Rival's way, and Ataraxia has no more ult for a little bit.
Pretty heavy investment for Ataraxia to expend that ultimate, but it seems that Obey Alliance aren't expecting a team fight, or at least in the duel lane, anytime soon. And that would have been a nice little measure to take away some of Rival's chances towards getting this Gold Fury. We talked about it in the pregame, how much objective control they have between Wlfy on the Raw and Callus on the Fafnir.
Wlfy's objective secure with the Raw has been impeccable for a long time now, ever going back to the spring. Love that Bramble Blast there from EmilZy, trying to make sure that there's no additional follow-up damage off of Callus' hammer.
We're seeing a lot of action here in this duel lane, definitely wanting to box each other out. Both Hunter, Guardian having their respective red and purple buffs, but now it's going to be in the solo lane action as these Fire Giant Elementals respawn. Captaintwig is here, while iceicebaby securing his back right Harpies instead.
Twig was looking for the ultimate. I think that would have been a death onto Deathwalker. The Sash ultimate combination would have hit with 3 members there, and no one from Rival lurking in the wings, but what woulda, shoulda, coulda, I suppose, is still waiting on that first blood 5 minutes in.
I love how Callus just casually walks by EmilZy. He's like, oh, sup? Here's a hammer for your trouble.
Doesn't even have the Talaria yet, so it wasn't even for any gold. It was just because he didn't like seeing EmilZy there.
That's the disrespect, you know? He doesn't like the look of EmilZy's face.
Who doesn't like to throw out some disrespect every once in a while? Keeping your opponent where they need to be is Ataraxia again, hanging out around that Gold Fury, but Sentry rewarded by Rival, even though they've been the ones controlling the Oracle vision thus far.
Not too much to write home about in terms of action up until now. Ataraxia uses the beads, and he stands still for a brief moment as he tries to drop the ult. First blood going the way of Rival.
Perfect rotation out of iceicebaby and avoids all of the Obey wards. There's only one that could have potentially caught that rotation. It was if he had gone around that Gold Fury pit. I believe Ice just came through the red buff area. No wards there on that little, through that little corridor. That means the first blood goes Rival's way. maniaKK gets ulted by Deathwalker, but that's mainly just to sustain up that solo laner.
Trying to also cancel out the bludgeon for good measure and could potentially force maniaKK back to base. However, teleport is available for the Obey solo laner, so he's not too worried about taking that kind of poke, even starting up that tier 1 Iron Mail.
There's iceicebaby getting sashed by Captaintwig. No ultimate and no beads. So both players, it's always kind of a game of chicken with Naja when you get sashed. Is do I use my purification beads and try and prevent the guaranteed ultimate, or do I hold it and hope that they won't ult in a situation like that? In that situation, iceicebaby guesses right and doesn't get punished for it.
Oh, but Callus could get easily punished here. We're seeing the Oracles being started by Rival while Callus is zoning. Ring bounces is going to connect, waiting underneath his PrettyPriMe.
There's the Eye of a Monster, but not quite enough. Kalas finds the transformation, but the Suns were still raining down. Ataraxia puts Obey on the board, getting a little bit of revenge for that early kill onto the Obey Hunter. Clean pick there for Obey. Used 3 ultimates, but Rival didn't really have a chance to reinitiate.
Callus was just zoning a little bit too far away from the rest of his teammates while they were securing those Oracle Harpies. It's always a good idea to get those neutral camps whenever you can, but at the same time, you can't just throw away your life for them.
I mean, I like the idea there from Wlfy to throw a snipe out on a PrettyPriMe, trying to sway him for going from that ultimate. And honestly, if Ice throws out that Nemesis ult onto PrettyPriMe right as he goes up into the ultimate, sure, you're not going to get the slow, but a big chunk of damage. You make PrettyPriMe think twice about following up off of Captaintwig's ultimate. But at the end of the day, it's probably a good thing that Rival decided against that, because EmilZy was on the way, and that's an immediate 4v3, and if Kala still gets executed, then that's a 4v2 that you've just got to commit it to.
Terra's Blessing didn't even need to be used there. Just a pure wombo combo between the jungle mid out of Obey Alliance, and this could be the start of a good thing for Obey Alliance. That's the whole game plan of their draft, to find somebody in the sky, have PrettyPriMe wait underneath, and like you mentioned before, Rival can exploit that because PrettyPriMe has to wait for so long that there's going to be a lot of abilities dumped onto that mid-mage as well.
I assume whenever we're getting to the 4v4s, 5v5s, Deathwalker and iceicebaby are going to be trying to hunt Scylla down like a dog whenever that Captaintwig finds an ultimate to prevent that follow-up. Big damage on the Captaintwig out of the 72 transformations from Deathwalker, but no additional follow-up as Twig tries to back and does get spotted out there by Rival. still should be able to escape A-OK.
He's going to lose a little bit of extra time in the farm department here as Cal is jumping over that stun wall. Great little use of mechanics there. Right-hand side, though, getting those Fire Giant Elementals is Rival. They're slowly but surely controlling some of the pace of these neutral camps, getting about a 500 goalie, but maniaKK gets taunted, nowhere to go.
Just not in the right spot that time. Rival finds another pick. I don't know where maniaKK was trying to go with that ultimate, but I don't think it would have mattered where he landed because he was dead to rights.
Absolutely. Now second kill on the board for Team Rival, making the plays happen when it matters. They're not going to find an opportunity to invade any buffs as it's not timed or aligned properly for them, but it's still going to deny some very important farm out of maniaKK, allowing Deathwalker to just sit in that lane, and now hitting level 12 is going to give him that second relic opportunity.
Really like this early Brawler's beat stick from Captaintwig. I believe before we saw him go for the Mass Immune second item for that health and protection and powers. EmilZy gets stunned out. There's a snipe as well onto EmilZy, but Bracer was ready, and now it's trying to do the turnaround. iceicebaby throws his ultimate, though, onto Captaintwig, who has to win fire wheels away. Ataraxia drops the Suns, trying to dissuade the chase, and does so successfully. Terra's Blessing helps out in that regard as well. But starting up the Gold Fury is Rival. No teleport available for maniaKK, and this one is gonna go down, but Obey Alliance steals it away. EmilZy crushes down the Gold Fury in front of 4 Rival members.
Beautiful clap coming out of EmilZy. Wlfy taking a decent amount of damage here from maniaKK's rotation. Still, finally Eagles Rally was used, just barely off a cooldown. Rival able to really bully away the soul laner, but that's so disheartening if you're the black and purple here.
That's a big play out of EmilZy, no doubt about it. Not just in this game in terms of, now we would have been behind way more gold already, being down about 1,000 at that stage, but about the mentality for Obey. I mean, they just got dominated in game 3. They lost game 2 as well. Rivals on a 2-game win streak in this best of 5, and if that Gold Fury goes down, maybe Obey says, oh no, here we go again. Instead, EmilZy pulls them out of the depths and keeps them in it.
A boost of confidence goes a long way. Obey Alliance are starting to aggress in this dual lane as Ataraxia is kind of swinging around here. He could look for a sneaky play onto Callus with EmilZy feeding him some information on what he sees on his screen, but instead allowing both of those players to back on out. Could give a small window to poke out this tower on the left-hand side.
maniaKK forced to use the thorns underneath the tower as Deathwalker started the dive with iceicebaby in tow, but with Captaintwig on his way, spotted out by a ward, they didn't want to commit too heavily, even with maniaKK's ultimate being down, as EmilZy and Kalas have good old-fashioned support 1v1.
A lot of damage being dealt onto Callus. Is forced to back. Deathwalker's going to take a decent amount as well. I like what he was doing there, trying to weave in and out of the jungle, really trying to juke out Captaintwig, but he finds a solo kill there.
Now maniaKK's in trouble. He's going to go up and down, and here comes Prime, the double root, the triple root, and then the I'm a Monster comes through. No reset, though, and the snipe not going to find it. I thought maniaKK was out of his mind going up and down, but clearly he knew what was coming.
Trusting his teammate, PrettyPriMe right around the corner. So unfortunate that he only found one with the I'm a Monster because everything was perfectly aligned for that triple kill, but still finding at least another kill to clean up after losing Captaintwig.
Yeah, Twig's got to respect Deathwalker's damage a little bit more than he did there. I mean, Deathwalker was kind of juking around him and maniaKK, not really expecting Twig to stick around in the right space to get killed there, but I'll bet you Twig's gonna know exactly how much damage that Erlang Shen's doing from here on out.
Well, also, the Wing Blade wasn't complete at that point in time, and it allowed a very easy kill onto Captaintwig. Cal is now making the rotation. Will pop that Wing Blade. He's going to be able to escape for the moment. That allows iceicebaby to find the slow, even baiting out the crush momentarily. And that's what you got to do if you're a rival. Slowly poke and whittle Captaintwig down so low that he's going to second guess himself about trying to make that initiation happen.
Rival's doing so many little things that work so well against Naja that are really impressive to me. Right there, using that sash hold, that thought as Twig blinks in, uses that sash, but still has the ultimate. He's going to catch one up into the sky. He takes boat. I'm a Monster's waiting for him on the ground. Double hit on the second one, but Wlfy's still going to find Twig. Kalas in some trouble. Ataraxia is trying to get that damage out as maniaK's attempting to teleport in. As Deathwalker still pushing that right-hand side. Kalas in trouble, stunned out. Crush gonna clean it up. The root's there as well. It's prime time for maniaKK. And iceicebaby's too low.
maniaKK was trying to dive that tier 2 Terra, but the Retribution Shield was there. Nice stun from Ataraxia, but the PrettyPriMe Crush was slightly off the mark. Stun on EmilZy did not go through onto Wlfy, but instead it's Obey Alliance finally getting some small things in return for that 2-for-1 trade.
But on the right-hand side of the map, Deathwalker stayed and got 100 gold for Rival. Look at the team fight recap. Pretty much equal in terms of golden experience there. A slight lead for Obey, yes, but not a major one.
I'm telling you, both of these teams, despite the scoreboard, despite the series score, this could go the distance. They're so evenly matched here in this 4th game.
I mean, it's 4-4 right now, and the gold lead is not really there. The XP lead is probably pretty close to not really there as well, because both teams have a member with a level advantage. This one is certainly a close one, and Dignitas is waiting to find out who's going to face them tomorrow. I said at the beginning of this game, PrettyPrime's the guy I'm watching. Well, I'm seeing some big plays out of him thus far.
Absolutely, as well as Wlfy though, whenever he was playing the Giannis or the Raw earlier on this set. And if I'm Dignitas, I'm not sure who I'm more worried about, because they lost to Obey Alliance in the Spring Split Finals.
That's true. I mean, this was sort of a rematch opportunity for Dignitas if Obey is going to move on. You heard Variety in his interview earlier today say that he would like to see Obey because, you know, those are his former teammates. He wants to prove he made the right choice and get some revenge for that spring finals loss as PrettyPriMe eats a slice and dice. Not too much damage onto the mid laner for Obey, as now the pace is slowed slightly. Both teams waiting for these power spike items. Twig waiting for his next set of penetration item. Prime as well needs some more pen in that build. Ataraxia has finished off the chins over top of that vote though.
And Wlfy just now completing the Rod of Asclepius is gonna give him that extra mobility, extra health to be able to really get into the thick of things, as well as being just so slippery. That extra healing is gonna provide extra duration in these team fights. And things are looking pretty solid for Rival. You can't allow Rival to start rotating around this Gold Fury. Decent amount of vision control out of Obey, but it needs to be more aggressive on the top side.
I was gonna say, it's good, but defensive. There's the blink forward, Wlfy with the quick beads, but now Twig gets waited out and hit him with the Windfire wheels. Prime forced out by the ultimate from iceicebaby, but Obey doesn't need him. EmilZy's the one to clean up Wlfy. Ataraxia shredding through iceicebaby, but Twig's in trouble.
PrettyPriMe on the backhand side, waiting for the right timing. Twig falling to Deathwalker. maniaKK coming from the backhand side, jumping over towards the backside. Finally, PrettyPriMe.
I'm a Monster's gonna miss, and now Prime's gotta run away. He's trapped in that Gold Fury pit. iceicebaby coming all the way around. Prime is gonna blink out and over that wall, but still might not be enough for him to get away. Ice hunting. There's the blink of his own. The root's still not enough. The beans get them the kill. maniaKK's been handled on the backside. That's gonna be 2 kills for Rival. Ice still trying to get away.
Run, Ice, run if you can, but Obey, they're gonna start up this Portal Demon, recognizing that the Gold Fury cannot be denied from Team Rival. It is Blinkception in game number 4 here. I haven't seen a Blink Scylla play in quite a while.
Deathwalker thought about teleporting there, I think, but instead it's gonna back to base. Obey do end up getting that portal. Look at how close that damage into that team fight recap is. Are you kidding me? They're within 70 damage of each other.
How much closer can you really get? The kills are pretty much close. The goal is pretty close. Even the damage is close.
This has been an unbelievable set thus far, and Obey is looking to elongate it. I think a lot of fans would probably like to see a game 5 as well, and this one is pretty close. maniaKK comes through that portal, and there's 3 members waiting for him there, immediately stunned out by Kalas. That forces Captaintwig in, but EmilZy comes through the portal in order to support as well. The other 2 damage dealers have not taken that portal, instead walking up the mid lane, and Rival realized he should probably just back it up, at least for the time being. Twig has not finished off that Titan's Bane, but he finds the sash and the ultimate directly onto iceicebaby. Prime waiting with the crush on the bottom. maniaKK's gonna stop him down with the Eagles rally, number 6 in total for Obey. Huge snipe out of Wlfy, but still not enough as EmilZy cleans up Kalas. Obey Alliance walk away with 2 kills.
PrettyPriMe just going into the monster form to scare everyone else away from Rival. 2 clean picks from Obey Alliance gives him a power play to be able to get this tier 1 mid tower. Heading into the 19-minute mark, Obey are still going at it.
1 more auto's necessary, and Obey
Wow.
give it up, at least for the moment. Wlfy can't heal that tower with the Solar Blessing, but it's only going to take a swift breeze to knock that one down in mid.
I mean, all you have to do is just sneeze on it, blow on it, whatever you want to do. So somebody from Obey Alliance will eventually get that tier 1 mid tower to secure that 500 gold, just waiting for them to make this game even closer than it already is.
Twig definitely set that whole double kill in motion for Obey, just using that winged blade and Talaria boots extra movement speed. Talaria, when we talk about that in the jungle, it's usually on a poke character that can easily get 30 gold procs pretty often across multiple members. But it also gives you that increased movement speed when out of combat.
Absolutely, as well as the HP 5. So whenever he goes into the thick of things, he might be baiting out some of these speeds. He uses the sash to get in. He could disengage quite easily. It's a lot of mind games between these 2 teams, and I'm not expecting anything less here. We're seeing even the Titan's Bane being complete here, trying to get some of this protection shred online.
We were talking about these power spike items, and now a bunch completed on the side of Obey. Titan's Bane for Captaintwig. Obsidian Shard for PrettyPriMe. Let's see maniaKK working on what's likely to be a Stone of Gaia to prevent that Deathwalker knockup. Could be a Stone of Gaia for EmilZy, or could be going for a Gauntlet of Thieves.
I love the action here in game number 4, 7-7. First, Wlfy going the way of Obey Alliance. Second, responded in kind for Team Rival. Heading closer to the 21-minute mark. And look at the charts, just dictating the evenness.
This game, this whole set has been incredibly well matched between these 2 European powerhouses. Rival did not have the best of online phases for the summer split. They were very close to missing this LAN, in fact, but have certainly proven that they deserve to be here now.
Their LAN mentality is always proving to be very fruitful whenever they won that gauntlet, beating out Energy in the spring split. They actually lost to Obey Alliance, so there's a lot of revenge here trying to win this best of 5 set for Rival.
As we hit 21 minutes on the in-game clock, this game has slowed down a little bit as teams just kind of get their bearings and wait mostly for the next Gold Fury. 21 minutes, still a little early to find that Fire Giant, as maniaKK could be in a bit of trouble here. Actually turns and tries to fight, because look at the rotation coming in from Obey. iceicebaby realizes it and turns to run. Deathwalker uses an ultimate of his own to get some additional healing. EmilZy pops that Terra's Blessing as PrettyPriMe gets stunned by Kalas. So 1 ult for 1 ult, but that Terra's Blessing ultimate on a much longer cooldown than that of Erlang.
And it's just more useful. It's an AoE team beneficial ultimate, whereas the single Deathwalker ultimate is just going to heal himself. Now, granted, it is an AoE taunt that's not going to be provided, but despite that fact, Obey Alliance cannot really look for an aggressive team fight without that Terra's Blessing.
And it's going to not be up for this next Gold Fury, because that's due to respawn in 20 seconds. Gold Fury so far this game, 1 apiece. No surprise there, as these 2 teams continue to be very close. Captaintwig starts his back. Oracle Vision isn't there for either team, but it's Team Rival who've done a good job of keeping that Gold Fury pit sentry warded.
There's a lot of sentry wards on both sides of the map, trying to control the mid harpies here. We're seeing the bottom side being warded by Obey Alliance, making sure there's no offensive wards. But there is that 1 ward right above the purple buff for Rival to spot any rotations coming out of Ataraxia. Gold Fury being started by Rival, so already at half health.
Wlfy has a snipe as well. There it goes, and Rival's gonna get it. Obey wants to get the fight going, and Twig's gonna get it started with that Windfire Wheels. Prime finds the reset. No, in fact, Twig is the one who's gonna get the kill. Now Prime is on the run, because he doesn't have that additional movement speed. iceicebaby threw out the Divine Retribution to force out Prime as well, so Rival end up trading support for Gold Fury, and you have only been watching Smite for a little bit. Teams will take that trade every time.
Every single opportunity that Rival can get, they will exploit that fact, and now they're starting to do some damage onto PrettyPriMe while he's in the Alma Monster form. Captaintwig is gonna run away with that Wing Blade proc, not having to worry about too much damage there. A lot of Rival members are relatively poked out here, just waiting on the sustain from Wlfy and clumping on up.
Portal Demon started by Obey. They do have the 5-on-4 power play for the moment, but Kalas has respawn and is making his way back, and he does have Swift Wing, so it won't take him long Deathwalker rooted, but no stun from EmilZy. The Smite gets stolen away by Wlfy, and now it's Rival starting to engage. Slicing dice on a PrettyPriMe as iceicebaby decides to back up. Rival got what they came for. That's gotta be tough because Obey just watched Wlfy steal away or secure the Gold Fury with Snipe, and then he had it up for that. He's got no CDR.
It's a very short cooldown. As you level up that ability, just gets shorter and shorter, and just like that, Obey Alliance, they stole the Gold Fury earlier on in the game, and Team Rival are now paying back the favor by stealing away this Portal Demon. Great opportunity there, and we saw the wraparound play from Rival. It seemed that they really wanted to force the engagement, but once that Terra's Blessing was popped by EmilZy, they're like, all right, we got the steal, let's count our blessings and reset.
You know what, I think that it's the fact that Obey kind of dilly-dallied a little bit there. They didn't go directly to the Portal Demon. They said, do we want to try and get this tier 1 that's 1 HP? Do we want to do Portal Demon? Do we want to try and fight after that Gold Fury engagement? And that maybe 8 seconds of indecision was enough time for Wlfy's ultimate to come back up.
Well, between that pick onto Callus and the Portal Demon, there was 4 ultimates not available for Obey Alliance, just now coming off a cooldown, and that's why they probably didn't want to full commit under that tier 1 tower, because I think there were 4 members of Rival just sitting there baiting out Obey Alliance, hoping they would take that fight in the mid lane.
Rival hoping to take a fight in the mid lane themselves, as they're the ones posturing aggressively underneath this tier 1 as the wave begins to come in. Deathwalker going to be the first one in. EmilZy already poked a little bit by iceicebaby. Crushes down. Deathwalker with a taunt, but immediately taken up by Captaintwig. He's going to be low as he comes down, but the I'm a Monster wasn't there to find the kill. iceicebaby has to beat and dash away into the jungle as Deathwalker finds maniaKK as he went a little bit too deep.
Captaintwig was not done chasing iceicebaby away. This is the beauty of Raw on Wlfy. You win the first engagement, reset, group up around the heal, and now you have a 5-on-4 power play as maniaKK is dead for another 36 seconds.
PrettyPriMe is too low to defend. Ataraxia poked out as well as he jumps over the jump stun from Kalos. You're right, Toli. This raw heal utilization by Rival is absolutely textbook right now.
Well, really risky play here from Ataraxia to back in front of Rival's faces. EmilZy on the backhand side pops the Terra's Blessing, engaging by finding the root, but not in range as PrettyPriMe with a root crush.
There's a nice stun coming out of Ataraxia as Deathwalker does get fairly low. There's the blink forward by Prime, the root and the crush as Kalos down to about 50% HP, but Bracer brings him back up. Sash on a Deathwalker, snipe from Wlfy, not gonna hit any priority targets. iceicebaby dashing to try and find Twig, who doesn't have an ultimate yet. EmilZy's 1 HP, and the underhand tactics gonna finish that one off for Kalos. Twig still running for his life from iceicebaby. Divine Retribution comes out in a ring around the rosy. iceicebaby's sick of that game, and he's gonna put it in.
Look at maniaKK on the backhand side, trying to hold on to that middle Phoenix a little bit longer. Callus and Deathwalker sitting at about half health, but maniaKK can't take out those takey targets, and he's not gonna stop that mid Phoenix from falling.
In fact, he goes up and down, and now he's gonna pay for it. Vote finds his second kill with the Wild Hunt. Rival get the kills, and they get the Phoenix. 3 dead there. maniaKK respawn just to die immediately. Rival knocks down everything in the mid lane. Can we look at Golden Hand real quick? Because they must have an absolute ton. Yeah, 2,000 almost for every member.
3 members there with 2,000, 1,700 for Wlfy, 1,250 for Callus here. They're setting up an ambush around the Fire Giant, but luckily for Obey Alliance, they can spot that out with a well-positioned Sentry Ward.
PrettyPriMe does have ult and does have Rod of Tahuti, so look for him to try and make a play here. Drops a Sentinel, he's gonna get out of there. Obey Alliance,
wow,
give up the Fire Giant, and Rival now in control.
This game is getting out of hand for Obey Alliance. They're already down the series 1-2. This is the elimination game for Obey Alliance, and this is the saving grace for Rival to be able to reach the finals to match Team Dignitas.
Ataraxia drops the ult on the Gold Fury just to ensure that Obey should be able to get it. Before Rival shows up, they need this little burst of gold to try and finish off these power items before the final siege. As I mentioned, Rod of Tahuti was already completed by PrettyPriMe. That's the big one that Obey really needs more than anything else. And as long as Twig can find one priority target, if he can, it really should be Wlfy at this stage in the game. Wlfy or Vote. Either of those guys, if you take them up into the ultimate and Prime's allowed to find the I'm a Monster reset, reset. That should be an instant teamfight victory.
Despite having a little bit of help from the Rod of Asclepius, it's not enough to survive the wombo combo from Twig and PrettyPrime's ultimates. We'll probably see that play, but it's such a risky play. It has to be executed perfectly to work, but Rival are slowly itching their way closer to another Phoenix. They already got the tier 1 in the duel lane, now working on this tier 2.
Twig in combat, at least for the moment. Look at where iceicebaby is lurking, in that jungle. He does not want to be the target of Captaintwig's blink ult. Now Obey decides they want to defend that mid lane fire wave, and seeing Captaintwig show up on the map is enough to tell Rival it's time to go in. iceicebaby has a decision. Captaintwig got poked out at half HP by the fire wave, and Ice is going to try and take him on in the mid lane, but there goes maniaKK interrupting the dash from Deathwalker, but Vote shreds through maniaKK. Snipe hits 2 from Wlfy. EmilZy very low. Double kill for Vote. iceicebaby coming around the backside forces Ataraxia out.
Great play in the beginning to start things off, because iceicebaby zones away Captaintwig, so he wasn't even going to find the setup for PrettyPriMe, and maniaKK so close to killing Deathwalker, but now he put himself out of position by using that Eagles rally aggressively. Second Phoenix going down. Callus is going to go down as well.
There's the I'm a Monster, but it's going to miss because of the 72 transformations. Ataraxia jumps in. He's going to find one. That's a double for him, but at what cost? Twig goes down. Ataraxia goes down. It's only PrettyPrime without an ultimate against 3 members. And it's only Rival takes down Obey. They get their vengeance, and now a chance to beat Dignitas in the finals tomorrow.
Congratulations goes to Team Rival. Standing ovation. Crowd, show your love for the European squad out of Team Rival.
Obey lose their chance to go back-to-back in Season 4, taken out by the team they beat in the semis in the spring. Rival lost game 1 and then went 3 in a row. This is going to be a heavyweight matchup tomorrow against Dig.
Absolutely. Well, I gotta go back to it. You see what happens when you don't go the Deathwalker.
I mean, look, it could have worked, right? But I guess you're right, because when he's playing the Erlang Shen, he's doing stuff like this. He was dominant on this Erlang.
It was just such an impressive performance from Deathwalker once he goes into the Warriors. maniaKK couldn't survive the 1v2 onslaught. I think his camera was positioned the opposite way than it really wanted to. It was a very easy, clean performance out of this solo laner.
That kill in the 2v1 was really clean out of him on the Erlang Shen. Really just strong performance by all of Rival. Wlfy was phenomenal on the Raw. That was the big difference maker, is that Obey just didn't have an answer to that one siege that lasted, what, 5 minutes in that mid lane?
They just couldn't stop the action here, and Rival were doing such a great job with the objectives. Despite losing that first Gold Fury, I believe they secured every other objective to follow up, and despite all the setup here from Captaintwig on the non-shot, PrettyPrime couldn't execute to end Deathwalker's life in that last engagement.
That's what I was about to say, is that it looks to me like that ultimate was just a little bit early out of Prime, and that's the fight that turns everything there in Rival's favor. They move on to face off against Dignitas. Let's hear from him. F-Dot up on stage with jungler iceicebaby.
Hey, that's me. I'm F-Dot. And hey, that's him. That's iceice. Congratulations. You guys won 3-1. I'll ask you the lame question, but I'm curious. How does it feel?
Feels amazing, especially since we beat Obey. Like, we always underperformed against them, and it's super nice that we actually beat them.
Now, Obey's a really strong team. You might be dressed like you're going to the beach, but I don't think this set was a day at the beach at all. Talk to me about the difficulty level taking on a team like Obey.
Oh, the thing about Obey is, like, they always play strange shit, so, like, our preparation for this tournament was against them, so we kind of had some weird shit prepared.
So a lot of work just goes into looking at Obey specifically. How does Alpha Jackal really come into that? Because he kind of seems to always be around.
Oh, he's definitely helping us a lot with the picks and bans and researching the enemy's strengths so we can, like, abuse them. And yeah, that's what he does.
So you guys heading into the finals tomorrow. Confident, not even gonna ask you, I know you guys are confident, but what are you feeling? How are you ready for day 3?
I just want a 3-0 deck. just end it quickly with the fashion.
Now, I know when it comes to you guys, we usually see some funny stuff. Are there more secret strategies up the sleeve?
We do have, but we'll see how it goes. Because like, they play meta, and meta is the strongest against meta.
Well, we'll see how that one goes. I'm just going to give it to you, man. Anything you wanted to say to the fans at home?
Oh, shoutouts to our sponsors, shoutouts to my family, they're probably watching, and shoutouts to my team for performing so well today.
Fantastic. Once again, congratulations, the jungler, iceicebaby for Team Rival. We'll be right back after this.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm now joined by a familiar face.
Familiar. It's been a little bit. It's been like 6 months.
I know, but I still remember you.
I miss you. I miss you, Ryan. I love you.
Adonis Meyer, the one and only, now community specialist for Hand of the Gods Smite Tactics. Kevin, we just had an awesome open bracket event.
Are they cheering for me?
DreamHack
Oh, no, they're cheering for themselves.
No, they're cheering for you. Don't
I
you
got
worry.
it.
Open bracket, DreamHack Valencia. Tell me about it.
No, it was really phenomenal today. You know, I didn't, kind of expect. I knew, it was going to be exciting. This was, the first time we showed off Hand of the Gods in the public space, really outside of our HRX tournament. And we finally had an open bracket. We got down to the top 2 players, and they're going to be facing off tomorrow against our 2 online qualifiers. One name you're going to recognize, some old Smite fans in Mace to the Face.
Mace to the Face. I heard Kiki was playing in the open bracket.
Yeah,
what
Kiki,
happened?
He was very close. He went 2-1 against actually Mr. C4 there, who's on the other side of the bracket. So he was actually very close to making it all the way.
We had a celebrity matchup, though. Was it? I saw Kiki up against Warchi.
Warchi,
right?
yeah. Warchi got stomped. Unfortunately, in his home country. Didn't work out for him, but no, he seemed to have a really good time, so maybe I'll play some more Hand of the Gods.
That's
I
right.
think he said he was he wanted to give it another try.
Fair enough. All right, well, going into open beta now for Hand of the Gods, an exciting time. Talk to me about the future of this game, the esports, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you know.
I do. Well, I know, but they don't know.
They don't know, okay. So we always start early, grassroots. We really like to build up a strong community foundation of tournaments. Just like we did with Smite for Weeklies Forever, just like we did with Paladins Weeklies Forever. We're going to be doing the same with Hand of the Gods. So we announced actually earlier this week a $50,000 tournament at HRX. So we're going to have our launch tournament for Hand of the Gods. There's going to be a couple ways to play. First off, if you're attending HRX hi-rez Expo 2018 and you have a ticket, there's going to be an open bracket that if you're there, you get to sign up and play.
Can I play in that?
You're not allowed to. You're hi-rez employee. We're also going to have multiple qualifying events at a few kind of gaming conventions in LANs later this fall. No information yet. We're still kind of finalizing kind of how the system's going to work. So make sure to follow us on our social media, play HOTG, and just keep up with the information there once it's finally announced and released.
Make sure you follow Adonis on Twitter as well. He's
Yes,
on all that good stuff.
At hi-rez Adonis.
I got you.
I'm not on camera anymore, dude. It's harder.
I got your back. Don't worry about it. Well, make sure you tune in for that tomorrow and tune in for all the other good stuff. The Smite action continues tomorrow. We got multiple finals coming your way. Of course, the console finest. Going to start us off. We'll take a look at the bracket and see just how we got there. It was Obey Alliance beating Astral Authority on Thursday. Today, Rival finally shook the Demon. EU console won a set on LAN against NA. Now they've got to go up against Obey.
Rival's been trying forever, honestly, and it's really exciting to see them make it this far.
I heard it was because you left, actually. Once you were done, they were like, okay,
wait,
time to win.
I cursed a EU console?
Why am I the me? PC side of things, you just saw it wrap up. Rival take it over Obey 3-1. Earlier on today, we saw a phenomenal set between Dignitas and Energy Esports. That 3-0 does not really give that set justice because it was 2 50-minute plus games. Make sure you join us tomorrow for not only those 2 finals, but the Hand of the Gods finals as well. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. We got one more thing for you before we let you go. Let's throw it back to F. on stage with a special guest.
Hey, it's me again. Thanks a lot, Aggro, again. So here I am, and I'm hanging out. We're in Spain, so we figured it'd be just as we finally talked to some of the Spanish community. Smite Hub, and I'm here with Faye North. Why don't you say hello and introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Faye North. I'm from Smite Hub. I'm really happy to be here with you all.
So one of my favorite things, we all know how much the Smite community in Spain loves me. Jokes aside, but seriously, I love how much you guys really embrace Smite and really how hard you guys go. Talk to me a little bit about what Smite Hub, how excited Smite Hub is to have Smite here in Spain finally.
This is amazing. I mean, we have been working really hard for more than a year or even more, like bringing tournaments and presidential events. And it's been like a great pleasure to have you here, both Paladins, Smite, and Smite, well, Hand of the Gods, sorry. Along with the best players in the world. This is amazing. I mean, we are really excited about this.
Yeah, it's really cool to travel around the world and sort of bring Smite to everybody else. And Smite and all the games that hi-rez do means something different to everybody else. What do the games mean to you guys here in Spain?
For here in Spain, this game, it depends on people. I mean, great shout out to Wlfy. He was one of the guys who most of us play Smite because. And for him, as same as for me, it means like part of our life. I mean, I like to play myself. I like to play Conquest and so on, and like ranked games. I like to fit. Well, I mean, I don't like to fit, but I got to see it, to do it. And well, try to get better and better and better and better and so on. That's it.
It's really cool, like I said, to sort of be here in Spain itself. And, you know, we've spoken a lot of English, and mi español es muy mal. So I'm going to let him sort of say something to the community in Spanish.
Yeah, okay, fine. Bueno, hola a todos, gente. Soy soy Fae. Muchas gracias a todos por venir, tíos. Esto ha sido increíble. Y en parte estamos aquí gracias a vosotros. Si hi-rez ha venido aquí a España, ha sido por movimientos que se han iniciado tiempo atrás, por el trabajo de todos. Y esto ha sido increíble. Muchas gracias a todos. Muchas gracias a Wlfy, a Deilo, David Arnaiz, Perilla, a todos estos que están trabajando tan duramente para traer aquí Smite. Sois grandes, sois muy grandes.
Sí. Muchas gracias. That's going to do it for us today. Semifinals have been fantastic. The day before it was fun as well. Tomorrow, Dignitas, Rival, Finals. We'll see you then.